Hey YouTube. Here's the first stage. So you get these kind of things. As you see, it's worn out. There's some missing spots. So some of them don't have bugger all, and you get all this corroding going on. Copper oxides corroding, oxidating, it's corroding. Oxygen gets in and makes it rust. You push power into it, and it makes this fine nano copper, which is a bluey colour like that. Here's one that had a wire of copper stuck to an aluminium plate that I was trying to use to put all the round chips on it, and I put that as the positive electrode, and the negative one, as you see, gives off hydrogen gas. So that's how you make hydrogen powered cars. So anyway, the positive one has the wire pegged on to the RAM chip, and it comes out as precipitate, but we've got salt in the water. I diluted it and it becomes copper sulfate. The downside of using copper is that there's copper sulfate produced. You get all that stuff. Okay, copper sulfate. So anyway, all the heavies will eventually, when you turn it off, it'll settle. So what happens is, as the positive electrode wire corrodes, because it will fall in, all the copper will corrode, but it corrodes also that which it's contacted with. The salt causes the water to be conductive, and so then the arc, when you put two wires together, they spark. So this is a slower spark, and as you see, it reacts because of the connection. So you don't have to have salt, but the connection will be not much, right, less. So that's the stage of getting chips to look like shit instead of looking pure and new. And then you pour that salty water into some containers and put half water, half of that stuff, and it will dilute it, and also it will settle with gravity. Then you pour the stuff into the sea, and the salt back into the sea where it belongs. It'll clump and make copper rocks maybe. You know, who cares, there's copper all over the planet. It's very rare anyway, it'll be spread among many millions of rocks. And there's zinc and lead is on the planet everywhere anyway too. So it'll just clump because of the cold weather at the sea. So once you've done that, then my hand takes you for a walk, walking with my hand. And so here I brought me this $12 cheap ass stove unit, because I had a stove which was the landlord's, so I didn't want to ruin hers, because it actually blew up and the wires in it were buggered. All the mice some mice come in when the storms and rains come, and they live in the house, and I've got to poison them off, get rid of them, or they'll shit on every bench and you can't make a bread and butter on anything, or you can't even touch the bench. So anyway, what you do is you do this, you turn them on low, on medium, when it's full, and then when it's down half, or most of the partial way down, quarter of the way or third of the way, because what happens is it froths up, then it overflows. As you can see, I've got some overflow. So as soon as I heard that, I keep the air out, and I hear it, and I run in and I turn it down from high to low, to medium. Or the easier way is just have it on medium. But once it's down enough, then you can turn it up high. And this is the result after it's dried. You can still see some greeny coppers. And earlier there was this ring of gold that tells you that there's gold content. But I obviously see a white coating. That means that there's still salt in it. So I'll turn that off, let that cool down, and then later I'll grab a chunk of wood that I found. I've used a few chunks of wood. There's an old piece of driftwood, but the other end is really great for scraping. So when it dries and hardens, then you can just shatter it, and then scrape and scrape and scrape until it becomes down on one end. and you've got all the powder then, and you can crush it down into a fine powder. I like these wood with the flat ends, because they're great for the surfaces and scraping it off. Because I had one and it was full of so much gold. It was brown gold, it was thick, it was half an inch thick. And I didn't really realise, and I scraped it all off thinking it was all good. And one day I put the pot away in the cupboard and come back 3 months later, and I found that the pot had been eating, something had been rusting it and eating into it, though it was dry. But I may have put it in the cupboard damp, unknowingly what would be the consequence of it. What happened was the wetness ate into the matter, which was unseen by me, the thick brown layer, like how there's all that brown there. So I thought it was the bottom of the pot, and the dampness was due to being rushing. Anyway, the rust begun, the rusting process, the oxidating. So it eats in, and it turned out that rusting process, the eating process, self-eating, it actually caused little pockets of gold. And from seeing that, when I come back to get it later, there was all these weird aluminium chunks and whatever. So I chiseled it off, and hello, it was where all my gold had vanished. Where did all my gold go to? It had snuck into the pot, but it hadn't quite got into it. See, iron, it's a pure metal. It's an element, very heated. I don't know how hot they heat iron, but I know one thing, the gold was trying to force its way through it, but was unsuccessful because it was in small amounts. So I chiseled that off. One day I put the powder with one of my element heaters. I just put it underneath it, right under it, and just left it there through the whole winter, heating whenever I used it, and I only used it for half the winter. But later I noticed these very fine gold specks. So that heating process had caused the gold to show itself. I was supposed to put nitric acid with them. So I've got this cool pot handle I'll just sort of show you before. I've got to stop recording too long because they don't let that happen on YouTube. So I've got this pot handle. All you do is you just squeeze it and it tightens. So it came with these pots from a second-hand shop. You stick it on, clamp it, and you can pick it up without burning your hands. Because at the moment, though you can't see it, I can feel at this distance I can feel heat. So I touch it, it can be hot. I can stick it on my other stove over here. Just wipe down. And then this is exposed new. So I got me this spittoon looking thing from a Chinaman on TradeMe online, on trademe.co.nz in New Zealand. I'm in New Zealand, of course. So as you see the burning in it, I used a MAP gas torch to just do slow painting of it, I suppose you could call it, on the outside to see what would reveal itself, the burning, or was it a cigarette smoker and it was a Chinese guy, probably smoked, but Chinese lady maybe, old lady. So I burnt the outside and it revealed what might be there, carbon, blackness, dioxide, whatever. And yeah, so now I'm going to heat it on an element on high for a little while. You've got to make sure that you keep it at good distance and feel the wall, that it's not cooking the wall or not cooking the cable. Keep the cable underneath and clear at a safe distance. Seems to be making a noise. It's cooking within itself. It's cooking in its own heat. So I'm going to see what that does. Once it's dry, then you get the powder, stick it into a container. I'm not going to show you how much I own, how much I have. I have to make these conical crucibles. So what I did is I got a couple of these had long stems on them. They're those drinking alcoholic things that women like. But I learned that there's a cone shape, not a cone shape, but a upside down cone shape. You get some, what do you call that stuff? Clay type of stuff, but it's not clay, it's plaster of Paris. So it's like whitened clay. And that stuff, when mixed with crushed sand, you get the sand and crush it into a powder. When you mix those, it helps it to retain heat like crucibles do. That's one of my crucibles I brought. It was white, like chalk. And anyway, so what I want to do is this. I want to show it over here by my kettle. I have a container that can hold it like a stand. I put the one that's got no hole, and I'm going to fill this partially with plaster of Paris, and then I'm going to settle carefully on top, pressing this in so that it's not going to go right to the bottom, and then it will dry, and then I'll have a cone shaped crucible. And the reason for the coning is pretty much the two metals will go down, and we all know gold will be at the bottom, and the other metals less pure will be up near the top, and the slag will be at the top. So one of them has a hole, so obviously that's going to be the one pushed in the top. I didn't really like that it had a hole, but you know what can you do? It broke off and it made a hole. I'm going to look for some more. But they charge $40 for a conical crucible, so I don't want to pay that. What I want to do is just craft my own. You know, Ingenuity, they crafted theirs, someone before them crafted theirs, so it began with crafting, and I'm going to craft my own. Now I found this thing pretty good. It has these neat little things where you can pour moulds. You could make this into a lead mould, or steel mould, or a wax mould. Then I was thinking about that, why do that? I was thinking, well, what if I poured plaster Paris in? I'd have the reverse mould, but then I turned it over. That's the reverse mould. So just pour plaster Paris on that, and then bang it off, and you've got mould. So yeah, that's what you need. And so I've got a cool little catch tray under it. So I'll make the mould on this side, the reverse side, and then turn it over, whack it a few times carefully. I'll try to peel it off. If you had a nice, so I found this really cool thing that they have. It's a cake cooker that can handle high temperatures, but not 1200 degrees. So in that theory, if only I could make liquid rubber of that stuff, pour it on, and then I could just bend it back like a mould. I could pour in hot temperatures, but if it can't handle 1200 degrees, it's ridiculous. So that's why I've come down to the thinking that it's lovely if it can peel. Have a default mould, much like this, but make it out of that stuff, the rubber stuff, and then when you put your plaster Paris in on the reverse side, once it's finished, you just pull it out and peel it off like rubber, and you'll always have a mould. But however, looking at these, they're flat bottomed. They might be good for making an ingot after we've done getting the pure gold from the bottom of these, and you just strip off the pure gold, get the other metals, refine them again. Maybe there's more gold in them, but just haven't refined down enough. Or it might be silver, it might be zinc, it might be solder. And so this will boil right down until it's like that. It's touchable now. Yeah. And then I just pretty much whack it off with the wood. I sometimes scrape it with a screwdriver of some sort, but I've had problems with, if I use a screwdriver, they start to rust. For some reason, pure metals cause impure or less pure metals to rust. Yeah, so I used to use this TV aerial for a bridge in the electric circuit to make copper, to make chlorine. Something stinks real bad. Not sure what it is though. Yeah, so I'm heating that, and it's pretty hot now. I can feel this is the distance that I can tolerate without burning myself. So it's reaching a certain temperature, and I can't afford a lot of electricity, so I've got to cut back on it. So what's good is that now that it's hot, I can use this handle thing, clamp it, and safely pick it up without burning myself. So rest it on the stove, let it cool down there, in a safe spot. Here would be okay, but it's in my arm zone. This is a really cool invention. It doesn't burn up. See, there's plastic on the bottom, but it must be a special kind of plastic, because you can leave it on and it can cook the whole process without burning it. In saying that, don't leave it hanging over the top of a stove, because plastic is plastic. It might be a special rubber that can handle high heats, and it has this metal that has cooler muffler holes. Yeah, alright, thanks YouTube, like and subscribe. This is me, and yeah, get your gold, mount it, make some crucibles. No, I'm going to get me a couple of a forge thing, a couple of map gas, and cook them up. Get me a thermometer to test the temperature, make sure it reaches the right temperature, and then when it does, I'm going to use some tongs to pour it into my ingot. Oh, I've got a nice little ingot bar mould, yay. So might be able to make little ingots in the future. And when I get my acetylene, I might use this with tongs. I've tried this one, it's great for inside a furnace. Hooray! Alright, laters.